All right, guys. I had so much fun telling you the story of the time I got the security guard at the domestic abuse shelter fired that I just would like to now share the story of how I got the woman who did my chemical health evaluation for the courts fired. Um, Now, mind you, I'm not normally a Karen type person. I'm normally very, very easy, very, very like I don't generally show up in the energy of like, who the fuck do you think you are? Like I'm not, that is not me at all. But the problem with that is that I think sometimes people mistake that for like, oh, she looks like a weak target and I'm feeling bitchy today. And so I kind of feel like that might be some of what happened here. And as it turns out, I'm not actually a good target. Yes, you might be able to get your lick in, but I am really horrible to people who do things like that to me. I don't really much care for being mistreated, never have, never will. So this is what happened. I needed to get a chemical health evaluation done for the courts for the guardian ad litem report. If you want to know salacious details about that, go over to my TikTok. That's where all of that is. I'm just telling this one story. So I did the chemical health evaluation, which is, a little dicey because I do use marijuana for my complex PTSD. And at the time that I was doing this, it had been like decriminalized in terms of if you were found in possession of it, you were supposedly not supposed to be charged, but it wasn't fully legal. And of course, any substance use, that's a red flag that needs to be looked at. Even marijuana can be addictive, right? So, I'm doing this chemical health evaluation and I get it back and she essentially says, like, the only thing she says that I had a low level substance use disorder that did not rise to the level of requiring treatment. Okay. Which I vehemently disagreed with. I had been using marijuana for over a decade at that point with the full knowledge and awareness of this, of every single therapist, every single doctor. This was not a hidden thing. This was a legitimate part of my treatment for my complex trauma. And of course, marijuana, there's a joke that says, how much marijuana does it take to kill a rat? 20 pounds, but you have to put it into a brick and drop it on their heads. So of course, like anything, it has potential risks, but in the scheme of things is much, 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 much safer than pharmaceutical drugs that don't work as well. So this was appropriate for what I did. Well, as I dig into her actual report, this woman, she just, oh my gosh. I'm just going to give you a couple of examples because I don't want to get all into it, but this was the kind of thing that was going on. At one point, she said that I expressed a strong craving for alcohol. What I said was, because I don't drink very much. I could go the rest of my life without having a drink. It wouldn't really bother me. But I said, well, like anyone else, sometimes if it's really stressful, I'd really like to go home and have a drink, but a drink, This got turned into that I had expressed strong cravings for alcohol. She also characterized me as currently homeless and not engaged in any structured educational or employment activities. So I have been forced into a domestic abuse shelter, which means I'm being mistreated. And I'm just coming off of a very large project. It was several $100,000. We made a real impact. We were registered, it was a real organization. I had a title. I had responsibilities. I like had documentation. Like I wasn't just some, and during the time that we spoke of, I was, like one of my things was I refused to get like a regular job until I had a place to live, because that just creates so many problems that I knew I wasn't up for dealing with. But I had finished editing a manuscript that of essays that I recently sent over to Choir Publishing. So if any of you know Choir Publishing and Keith Giles and his crew, go tell him that they should publish my book of essays. I sat on it for that long. But I was working with the career development people at the shelter, starting to get my resume together, trying to figure out how to put what I had been doing into some sort of professional package. I was enrolled in a program through a local group that supported women's entrepreneurial dreams, whatever, and which could potentially give me access to funding for a business idea that I had, that I was already working on and getting really like positive responses to. And so I had I was doing things, like I had done things, and she literally characterized me as homeless and not engaged in any structured or meaningful educational or employment activities. So when I got this back, even though it was adequate for the courts, for the situation that I was in, I had an absolute fit, and I called her supervisor, and I explained much what I, explained to you. I also provided some context that I work with the leaders of not-for-profits that serve their local communities all over the world. I'm not some rich, famous person, but I'm also not just nobody. I'm not some schlub. I'm not some addled person on the street, not that you should treat them badly, but what the hell, right? So she offers to have someone redo. I think she even offered to redo the evaluation herself. But at this point, it's not paranoia if it's real. I was that is too risky, because if you want to fuck me over too, then I now have two professionals saying dumb shit about me. So I don't remember if she offered or I requested that I would be allowed to write a statement that would be attached to the evaluation, and that the evaluation would not go anywhere without my statement attached to it. So that was what she agreed to, and I'm sure she didn't quite know what she was getting herself into, though she might have some idea by that point in the conversation. And so I wrote a very long, detailed statement going through section by section and illustrating with documented, factual, observable, objective reality that this woman, her perspective was not in alignment with reality, and that when somebody is making such glaring mistakes, if we are to give her the most charitable assumption, then that shows that she is not capable of doing her job in a way that the court or anybody else in a professional capacity would be able to trust. And 2 weeks later, she was no longer listed on the company's website. So, not sure that maybe it had nothing to do with me. Maybe she was already on her way out the door and just needed to take one more lick. Maybe they took her down from the site because there's an unhinged, very smart person who she's pissed off. I don't know. But I like to think that that was the end of her time of employment with that particular agency, because when people are using what are supposed to be helping positions to harm vulnerable people, I'm always look, I am obviously even though it cannot, you might not see it right away, because if I'm in real trauma, it can, be kind of hidden underneath some of the symptoms. If I'm having a hard time speaking, it's hard for you to know I'm articulate, right? So, you need people who are trustworthy. And if that, but I'm white. I come from a middle class background. I have an education. If this is how I'm being treated, how is, a 19-year-old woman of color who has gotten in trouble with the law being treated? A former foster kid, like if you don't have substance use issues before, after dealing with someone who treats you that way, you might develop them, because if you're going to be diagnosed with them, might as well get the enjoyment, right? No, I mean, that's a dumb idea, but people are dumb sometimes. So anyways, it's a very harmful thing. I feel very good about, if there were consequences for her, to the extent that there were consequences for her, I feel very good about that. And people should not act like that. What the hell is wrong with you? Go away. So there you go. Go to my website, theupsidedownworld.com. Buy merchandise. Christmas is coming. Nobody else will be giving away these gifts in your community until next year. Next year, everybody will have them. This year, you'll be able to be like, I was on the bleeding edge of cool when I gave you that gift. You didn't even know it. So go over to my website, buy things. If you have $80 that you were going to spend on something stupid, or you were going to make a donation to some institution with, my friend Raju in Bangalore, India, still needs money for widows in the slums there. These are some of the most vulnerable human beings on planet Earth, and you can have an immediate impact on their lives. Go to my website, theupsidedownworld.com. Go to the support page. There are instructions for making donations there. Mark Raju in the note, and I will make sure he gets it there, and you will have helped make the world a better place. All right. Love you all. I will talk to you again when I talk to you. Bye.